Today on Miami Vice Changed Everything, we'll contemplate the wisdom of the FBI's decision to send Al Bundy deep undercover in the porn industry. Spoiler alert, it doesn't end well. Miami Vice's second episode, Heart of Darkness, was written by A.J. Edison, who'd become the show's executive story editor in season 2, and was directed by series television vet John Llewellyn Moxey. It opens on the set of a porn film where a runaway teen named Penny tangles with a horny air conditioner repairman. Penny is played by Suzy Amos in her screen debut. Though Amos retired from acting in 1999 to become an environmental activist, you may remember her from films like The Usual Suspects or yeah, she was in this little art house film that you might have heard of. I think it's called Titanic, which is where she met her husband, director James Cameron. Penny has made the counterintuitive choice to wear a belted leotard and tights for her porn debut. So, the first 15 minutes or so of this film are just going to feature Penny trying to get out of her clothes. This porn film also has an atypically robust budget for music royalties because it scored to the Tubes' top 10 hit from 1983, She's a Beauty, which is a surprisingly wistful and poignant song about going to a peep show. Crockett and Tubbs hang out on the set undercover as a pair of big league porn distributors from New Jersey. They're trying to bring down a murderous porn mogul named Sam Kovacs by going through his right-hand man, Artie Rollins. Artie is played by Ed O'Neill, who to some of you may be best known for his starring role on the hit series Modern Family, which has been airing on ABC for over a decade. To me, though, O'Neill is always going to be Married with Children's Al Bundy, because I was born in the 70s, and thus I have a mind like a steel trap for 80s pop culture trivia, and then everything after 1989 gets increasingly fuzzy. Soon after establishing contact with Artie, Crockett and Tubbs find their investigation hijacked by the feds. Artie, it turns out, is an undercover federal agent who's been deeply embedded with Kovacs for the past 8 months. For reasons unknown, Artie broke off all contact with the FBI and with his wife several weeks ago. The FBI suspects Artie has gone rogue and is now working in league with Kovacs instead of working to arrest him. At one point, Crockett states that looking at Artie is like looking into a funhouse mirror. This is the first of many occasions that Miami Vice will explore one of its key themes, the idea that Crockett, or less commonly Tubbs, will, by working so close to corruption all the time, eventually be destroyed by his undercover work. We're presented with a character who represents the bizarro world version of Crockett. Artie is a template for what Crockett, who's been doing undercover work for 10 years, may someday become. That's a great concept, but this episode doesn't quite do it justice. The story's a little unfocused and the pacing is sluggish. Despite a good performance by O'Neill, Artie remains a cipher. We don't know why he might have gone rogue. We don't see that he's unhappy with being an FBI agent, or that he needs money, or that he really likes hanging out with porn stars. It just seems to be an accepted fact that, hey, sometimes undercover agents go to the dark side. This episode also has a great deal of filler. There are at least 2 zany subplots. One about Crockett's alligator Elvis getting loose and terrorizing the locals at the marina, and one about Switek and Zito bumbling their way through a sting operation. Miami Vice is not the place to go for zany subplots. Nobody's ever said, hey, Miami Vice, that was a really funny show, right? I'm not talking about small funny moments embedded within an episode, which are always welcome. I'm talking about entire subplots that just exist to lighten up what is otherwise a pretty bleak series. Miami Vice won't hit its stride until it starts leaning into that bleakness instead of trying to neutralize it. Let's talk a little about Switek and Zito, who I assume were created mostly to provide comic relief. Over the course of the series, they become something more than that, and not simply because the characters become more complex over time. Miami Vice makes it clear that undercover work is a brutally difficult job that can destroy even those who are really good at it, which Switek and Zito are not. I'm not going to get too precious about avoiding spoilers for a 35-year-old series, but just in case someone's watching this who has never seen these episodes before, I won't go into detail, but Switek and Zito are not going to make it through the series unscathed. While it's almost certainly unplanned, the buffoonery of Switek and Zito in these early episodes lays the groundwork for some pretty shattering events down the road. In addition to She's a Beauty, music used in this episode include John Waite's radio-friendly hit from 1984, Missing You, and Devo's Going Under from 1981. Even though this isn't a bad episode, there will be bad episodes later on, and this is not one. I'm only going to give it 2 out of a possible 5 flamingos because, like your least favorite teacher, I grade on a curve. It's about all I have for this one. Thank you very much for once again letting me babble on about one of my favorite shows of all times. If you'd like to hear more, please hit subscribe and join me next time when I discuss the 3rd episode, Cool Runnin', in which Miami Vice still tries to figure out what kind of show it wants to be. I will see you then.